It's difficult to narrow down just one reason why the Star Wars series is so successful, and in my opinion, so darn good. You could pick anything from the locations to the cleverly arcing story, but for me, it's all about the characters. Luke, Leia, Lando, a lot of elves apparently. The characters bring the stories to life as we see them progress and develop. However, this isn't always the case. With so many people to weave into a 2-hour movie, it's inevitable that not all of them are going to develop beyond a cool line or a snazzy costume. So, I'm the chosen one here, and in this video, I'm going to be looking at the top 5 characters that I think deserved more screen time within the Star Wars movies. Do keep in mind that a lot of the characters on this list are not fleshed out within the expanded universe, both canon and legends. And whilst this can somewhat fix the problem, it's still disappointing that they were never fully realised on the big screen. Empire Strikes Back is widely accepted to be one of the best Star Wars films, largely improving on the foundation set in A New Hope. And one of the many things it brings to the universe are bounty hunters. No, not the weird American TV type, but the badass gunslinging predators. Sounds like a win, and they certainly look cool. It's just a shame we only see one of them do any real hunting. Really, I could have picked any of them for this spot, but IG-88 has always seemed the most conceptually interesting one to me. Sorry Bosk, maybe next time my scaly friend. Most droids in the Star Wars universe are either harmless, like C-3PO, or not particularly bright, like the Separatist droid army, so to see a highly skilled assassin droid in action would be pretty badass. We're introduced to a burst of cool-looking and supposedly talented characters, yet Boba Fett seems to be the only one competent enough to even get close to finding Han. Have IG-88 intercept Boba in the race for Solo, both of them using their full arsenal of weaponry to make sure they get this bounty. Sure, IG-88 would have to lose, but he got out in style, whilst helping to develop Boba in the process. Hits 2 birds with 1 stone. Say what you want about Attack of the Clones' cringy romance sequences, but one thing the film does pretty well is truly putting the war into Star Wars. We first heard of the Clone Wars back in A New Hope, with no real indication of what they were, but all mystery was finally put to rest with the introduction of the Republic's clone army. I like the introduction of the clones, and the purpose they serve in Palpatine's grand scheme, but we never get a true vision of who's under those CGI helmets. Commander Cody was the man, or clone, in charge of the 212th Battalion. Serving under Obi-Wan Kenobi, Cody does at least one up most other clones in the prequel movies, by being one of few to actually be named. The problem is, he never really developed beyond the face to receive Palpatine's commands and blast Obi's crazy Spider-Man dinosaur thing. The Clone Wars animated series perfectly humanises the clones and their relationships with the Jedi, and Cody could have been the one to represent this friendship in Revenge of the Sith. The Battle of Utapau was the ideal opportunity for this. Have Cody fighting side by side with Kenobi, as comrades fall around them and they have to combine their strengths to break through the droid ranks and take back Utapau from Separatist control. They do share a bit of banter in the film, but it's not nearly enough to communicate a level of trust between them. Understanding of the powerful trusting bond the clones shared with their leading Jedi would have given more emotion to the final stretches of this great war, and made the sudden turn of Order 66 all the more heartbreaking to watch. The Force Awakens may very well be my favourite Star Wars film, and one thing it does right is the enemy troopers. No more CGI armies, no more terrible aim. Well, okay, some terrible aim, but the First Order troopers are at least an improvement over the Empire's. Don't see an Imperial Stormtrooper with a crazy riot baton, do you? Looks great so far, but then there's Phasma. Like many on this list, Phasma suffers the issue of an interesting design over an interesting character. Supposed leader of the First Order Stormtroopers, she proudly shows her superiority by donning shining silver armour and a flowing black cape. Aesthetically, there's no denying she's pretty cool, but as a character she does very little of worth. At no point do we see her take part in combat to prove she's earned her fancy get-up, and more embarrassingly, she is even overshadowed by generic Stormtrooper FN-2199, also known as Raider, who attacks Finn in a great combat sequence. Why couldn't that be Phasma? Adding to her disappointment, she doesn't even attempt to resist Finn and Han as they force her to load the shields of Starkiller Base. Great job, Phasma. You doomed us all. Employee of the month. Even in a LEGO video game, you at least get a fight with her. Hopefully she'll come out of her shell in future movies. I mean, getting thrown in a trash compactor ought to make her thirst for revenge, as I'd like to believe she's more than just some pretty armour. The Phantom Menace was not the best received Star Wars film for many valid reasons, but between trade negotiations and Jar Jar Binks, one of the film's redeeming qualities was Maul. He provided one of the most thrilling fights in the Star Wars franchise, which proved how far lightsaber combat could go with modern technology. However, besides a menacing appearance,
Boo! You stink!
he lacked any real character.
At last we will have revenge.
He says. Revenge for what? It's like they intended him to have real motivations, but couldn't quite decide what they should be. Whilst the expanded universe has done an excellent job giving him life after he's fallen on the Boo, I feel there was still a story to tell of Maul during the Phantom Menace. More scenes of Maul and Sidious together would have provided further reasons to fear the film's antagonist, as well as greater insight into the dark and unforgiving training of the Sith, in direct contrast to the Jedi Order. It could even have created a smidge of sympathy for Maul, witnessing the cruelty he was exposed to. Plus, I'm always up for some more live-action double-sided saber. Phantom was the right word with how little we actually saw of him. The main thing I've been looking for when choosing characters for this list is potential. It's all well and good to say that Cy Snootles is the best Star Wars character and should have been in every film, but there's not really much you could have done in them, is there? We don't want more Jedi rocks. But if we're talking real missed opportunities, there's no better example than Boba Fett. Who else could it be? Wearing his iconic green Mandalorian armour and possessing an array of gear such as a grappling hook and jetpack, Boba Fett is a character who needs to be seen in action. He was introduced in The Empire Strikes Back on the hunt for Han Solo, but his real time to shine was on Jabba's sail barge at the start of Return of the Jedi. Luke activates his lightsaber and begins the attack, so what does Boba do? Fail to blast Luke, shoot a bit of rope, and then get jabbed accidentally by Han Solo, who I might add is blind, only to tumble into the Sarlacc pit for a lovely pathetic death. Some of his shortcomings can be attributed to special effects of the time, not being able to handle the high-flying combat seen with his father Jango, but nonetheless, it's still incredibly disappointing to see the feared bounty hunter possess less combat skills than Jar Jar Binks flailing around in the Phantom Menace. We needed to see Boba Fett be merciless, a man who would kill anyone for the right price. Instead, we just got some impressive looking armour, left to rot in the Sarlacc pit. He's no use to us dead. So that's my list, but I'm sure you'll all have different opinions, so feel free to put in the comments who you think is the most underused Star Wars character. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content of Star Wars, Nintendo, Marvel, and pretty much anything nerdy.